Hello, I am Yvonne Lazaire, and I became a daughter in 2011. I currently serve as a member of the America 250 Membership Task Force, National Vice Chair of DAR Scholarship, National Vice Chair Lineage Research, and Chapter Registrar. And when I have a little extra time, my day job is as a systems analysis with a large media company. So, welcome to Identifying and Recruiting the 21st Century New Breed of Volunteer. The source of the information in this webinar is from a book called The New Breed, Understanding and Equipping the 21st Century Volunteer, Recruiting, Training, Managing, and Occasionally even Firing Today's Volunteers, by Jonathan McKee and Thomas W. McKee. Yes, that is a very catchy title. Being in a volunteer organization, this book can be viewed from two perspectives, as a chapter attempting to recruit new members or as a leader looking to obtain volunteers for DAR work. I'll be presenting from the perspective of recruiting prospective members. There is so much great information in this book, there is no way to share it all in just one presentation. So, to get the most bang for our buck, I'm going to discuss only the first three chapters. So, we're first going to build the profile of the new breed of volunteer. Next, we'll discuss how to recruit. And finally, how not to recruit the new breed of volunteer. So let's get started with identifying the new breed of volunteer. Developments and trends over the past decade have produced a new breed of volunteer, causing volunteer organizations to change the way we operate. There are plenty of perspectives and members willing to get involved, but today it must be according to their rules. There have been several small changes in society that have caused a massive change in volunteering. The authors refer to these changes as seismic shifts. Let's first look at these societal shifts so we can better understand the profile of the new breed of volunteer. Family dynamics. We went from fathers knows best to 2.5 men. There has been a cultural shift in families that has helped shape this new breed of volunteer. Yesterday's volunteer system was built for an ideal volunteer with plenty of time. In the 1950s, 78% of all households were headed by married couples. In 2010, it dropped to 48%. Changes in life choices, such as single-parent families and dual-career couples, are a contributing factor. These new family dynamics affect how we should recruit volunteers. We need to change assumptions about who is available, when, and to do what. Isolation, from community to individualism. Today, many Americans choose a smaller number of close relationships and fewer face-to-face relationships. Some blame this on social media, claiming people are now isolated, yet surrounded by people. In other words, they are alone at home on a computer with hundreds of e-friends. Studies show frequent users of social networks are less likely to use neighbors as sources of companionship. Today, people have a third fewer close friendships as confidants to discuss hopes, dreams, and sorrows. Having fewer close relationships means people are less likely to be involved in groups that volunteer. Now, that sounds like bad news for us, but despite isolation, volunteering is on the rise. The difference is the places to find volunteers has changed. Churchgoers and club members still provide the greatest number of volunteers, but those numbers are shrinking. On the other hand, the number of individual volunteers is booming. The coming together of people during natural disasters and humanitarian crises are examples of individual volunteering. Think about how individuals came together during Hurricane Harvey or 9/11. This type of volunteering is new to the last decade. Flexibility, from rigid scheduling to volunteer availability. One factor contributing to a greater number of volunteers is the willingness of organizations to be flexible. Many volunteers demand it today. For example, they want communications by email versus face-to-face meetings. They're only willing to attend or perform within his or her time frame or schedule. The new breed of volunteer makes arrangements or compromises when work can be done. Why is flexibility so important? The 21st century volunteer designates and requires personal time for their personal life, whether it be travel, family activities, or just hanging out with friends. The 21st century calls for a new system and greatly expanded definition of what it means to be a volunteer. Organizations are empowering a new breed of volunteers to work their own way and according to their own schedule because of their requirement for flexibility. Volunteers are being asked how they want to be involved instead of recruited for open slots. Generations, from experienced veterans to novice Gen Y. A whole new group, millennials, Gen Y, or the Texan generation, basically people who were born between the early 1980s and early 2000s, are ignored as potential volunteers. And it's a huge mistake. We must admit, some in this group may not always follow social decorum. They may answer cell phones during meetings. You may find they don't necessarily dress appropriately for some venues, or they are sometimes outside of the norm. They often prefer to text than to talk on the phone, and they look for personal time to hang out with others. However, they are willing to volunteer if they believe they can make a difference, and they prefer to love what they do than to be given busy work. It is important for them to be recognized for what they bring to the organization. They may not be interested in sitting in several scheduled meetings, but they are willing to offer their services and like to be asked to share their skill set with others. Millennials believe they are good at getting things done and are individuals that enjoy the community volunteering offers. Technology, from face-to-face to cyberspace. The most dramatic development greatly influencing volunteer management is the internet and the availability of smartphones. These technologies open doors to entirely new avenues of volunteering all across geographical borders. FaceTime, Skype, free online conference calls, and many other technologies can be used to engage a member. It is replacing long email threads, phone calls, and face-to-face meetings, and has become a practical tool to recruit virtual volunteers. This means we can engage our members no matter where they are. My chapter had an installation of officers that included one officer on Skype in Croatia and the other officer across the country on speakerphone. By the way, tech-savvy volunteers aren't only millennials. Retiring boomers love technology as well. Professionalism, from skilled workers to knowledge workers. A knowledge worker is someone who wants to make decisions, be empowered, and influence how a volunteer project should be accomplished. Think about our juniors. We have lawyers, heads of households, doctors, politicians, teachers, business owners, entrepreneurs, and all types of women with skill sets that serve as assets to our organization. Many volunteers today are professionals and want to be treated as professionals. However, those professionals will leave the organization if treated unprofessionally and will take their skills and talents elsewhere. Episodic volunteering, from long-term commitments to short-term projects. There has been an increase in volunteers preferring short-term volunteer projects more than long-term commitments. They are willing to volunteer, but not on a regular, ongoing basis. Short-term projects are very popular with younger volunteers. Take advantage of episodic volunteers as a way to get them interested in our organization, giving them the taste for our cause. The new breed of volunteer is very cause-driven. Slacktivism, from hard work to easy feel-good tasks. Slacktivism is a new word that is a combination of slacker and activism. For the new breed of volunteers, the ultimate feel-good comes from the desire to give back to society without actually getting one's hands dirty. Think about wearing a ribbon, signing an internet petition, or making a small donation through social media. Despite many snide remarks about this type of giving back, it can deliver results more quickly than a phone tree. We shouldn't judge any activism by its medium or by those that mobilize workers or fundraise using slacktivist methods. Results are results. Micro-volunteering, from big-time commitments to bite-sized projects. Volunteer organizations have tapped into the growing arena of mobile time. People use smartphones and tablets more than conventional computers to access the web. Mobile time is what people do to fill time while waiting. Micro-volunteering is a way to take advantage of the volunteering trend in which people are reluctant to volunteer for extended periods of time. It offers them a chance to feel good by using smartphones in just minutes. Have you seen on Facebook how an individual can set up an impromptu fundraiser from a collection of organizations with just a few clicks? There is an amazing response to those, and it's easier than setting up a GoFundMe page. And finally, our last seismic shift is speed, from slow movements to fast responses and change. Most significant shift in 21st century volunteerism is speed. It's not just for the young. Society as a whole has become addicted to speed. 21st century volunteers don't want to deal with infrastructure or layers of bureaucracy. They want to use their skills and make something happen. If it cannot be done within the volunteer organization, they will walk away or attempt to change the culture. For some organizations, this could be difficult. Many organizations are afraid of change and have a fear of losing control. So, those are the seismic shifts that have affected volunteerism over the last decade or so. But what does that all mean? How do we define the 21st century new breed of volunteer? Are you ready for this? Because it sounds a bit scary. The 21st century breed of volunteer wants to drive the program. They want to call the shots and be empowered. They want to be asked what they see as needs of the organization and how they can help accomplish the mission. They have a passion for the cause. They can't always fit the mold or organizational pattern. They want flexibility in a customized job. They don't simply want to make a contribution. They want to feel like they're making a difference. They tell others about their positive experiences with the organization, especially on social media. They want to work with work that meets their schedules and their passions. They want to get involved. They're very busy, they have many obligations, and they often volunteer with multiple organizations. They're tech savvy, and they don't like being micromanaged. So, what does this mean for NSDAR, our state society, or our chapter? Are we expected to make some huge radical change to allow this chaos? No. Organizations can adapt to the developments of the last decade to include needs of the new breed volunteer, and I bet most of us already do. DAR is very adaptable with our committee structure, covering just about any interest a woman may have. However, chapters must take advantage of that structure. Be creative and diverse in programs and activities in order to attract new members. When I was a chapter regent, members would frequently email or text me with an interest in doing an activity or program. As long as they weren't doing anything to damage the AR image, potentially injure someone, or do something illegal, I let them run with it. I'm only required to check in once or twice before the activity actually happened. The members that ask to do things most often are currently our chapter's leaders. Now, you know who these people are. They could come to you from different age groups, backgrounds, and geographic areas. So how do we recruit these people? Well, selling a membership to DAR as if you were a fast-talking car salesman is definitely not the way to go. You're going to scare them off with too much upfront too soon. Another approach? Now this may sound weird, and remember, this book was written by 2 men, but it does make sense. You start dating your perspectives. Recruiting new members is more like a dating process. Talk to them first. Listen to what their interests are and casually tell them a little about the organization in your chapter or state society. The important thing to remember is, in the recruitment process is to listen more and talk less. Once you recognize their interests, invite them on a first date. It could be a chapter meeting, activity, state or national event, or you or someone in your chapter can just grab a coffee with a perspective and get to know each other. A great tip, make note of her interests in your PMD. A service project, meeting, or event that is of interest to your perspective is a great way to give her a taste of one of our causes and hope that she shares in it as well. Is she into gardening? Your next meeting could be a conservation program on the importance of using native plants. Maybe there could be an icebreaker that just happens to be about her main interest. The point is to immediately involve her in an activity with a simple task. It immediately sets up a feeling of community, acceptance, and belonging. Make sure to take some time and ask her if she's enjoying herself or has any questions. Thank her if she performs some tasks to assist, and make sure other chapter members personally welcome and thank her as well. So that kind of was like a date, huh? Now, how did your first date go? Did she seem into your chapter? Did she have chemistry with your members? Let's say she did. You know the goal of the first date, right? It's to get a second date. It is of utmost importance, though, to make sure you or your membership chair or someone in the chapter sets up a follow-up date to continue the conversation and make sure that they show up on that date. If you stand her up, she may not come out with your group again. The second date is very important. Your goal is to pop the question and get the perspective to join your chapter. Take cues you picked up from the first date. Play to her interest. Does she prefer to get together, talk on the phone, or do a conversation by email? Figure it out and do whatever she needs. Here's something you may not know. People want to be asked to participate. So ask her to join your chapter. Did she say yes? If she says yes or is considering it, this is the time you delve into specifics. Tell her the requirements of joining DAR, such as application requirements and fees, and make sure to set expectations. We just want to make sure you're not one of those, oh, by the way, chapters. For example, it's good for her to know what is involved in the application process and how long it can take, as well as the cost of annual dues. Some chapters provide an information sheet to assist a prospective member. You may want to add a glossary, because prospectives don't always understand our DAR specific terms. Also, don't hesitate to get her involved in chapter work, activities, and meetings as soon as you can. In this photo, during Reads Across America, we didn't have the prospective take the chapter photo. We included her in the photo. Another prospective attended her second meeting with us, and knowing she has knowledge of graphic design, we asked her to create a chapter advertisement for our state conference program. There was some back and forth over the design, but she learned a bit about DAR through the process and is still active today. Consider future dates with the prospective, integrating her into the chapter and making her an engaged member before she even has a verified application. Another giant goal is to assist getting her through the application process as quickly as possible. The longer we take in turning over our prospectives into members increases the risk of losing the prospective, not just to the chapter, but to the organization. If you need assistance, take advantage of additional resources available at the chapter, state, or national level. There is always someone in this organization that is willing to help you. And once they become a member, get them to take that member course. Okay, did she say no? Sometimes people say no, despite the effort you put in. Do not take it as a rejection. No may mean not right now. Or maybe you didn't pinpoint her true passion or interest. Listen to her reason for saying no. Maybe you can reach out to her at a later date. Now, I'm sure I know what most of you are thinking. Who in the world has all this time for all of these dates? We do not have the time or the people to go through this recruitment process. And I know, it's tough. Many of our chapters have limited resources, and many of us have limited time. However, think about new members that drop or resign within a year or two after we've spent so many resources to make her a member. We've looked at the successful process of recruiting new members. Now, let's take a look at the 7 deadly sins of recruitment so we know what not to do. Number 1, don't expect an announcement to get new members. An announcement in the local paper, newsletter, or community board generally yields disappointing results. Either you can't get enough people to show up or you get the wrong people to show up. An announcement cannot substitute for recruiting. And if you do get people to show up, start the recruitment process. Number 2, don't go it alone. Use a membership task force that meets every so often, formally or informally. Every chapter and state should have a membership chair that is not the registrar. Let the registrar and lineage research chair work on getting the prospectus application done. Allow the membership task force to serve as a support group for the membership chair. A prospective task force is also great at the state level. Check out the membership committee page on the NSDAR website to learn about state application teams, or SAT, which is a state membership task force, and a lot more. Using a team expands the possibility of getting a prospective engaged to the application process more quickly. Your task force should be filled with people that have an interest in growing the organization, are energetic, clear communicators, creative, and knowledgeable of DAR. Creativity and energy go a long way when looking to grow membership. And a quick hint, doing service projects and activities with other groups or organizations can help in finding a new pool of prospective members. Number 3, don't recruit prospectives that are only interested in being in that next leadership position or the long-term commitment. We all hope that our members are interested in taking a leadership role as an officer or committee chair. However, women join DAR for different reasons. That perspective may be great in your chapter, although she only plans to show up for half the meetings each year. These types of volunteers are great to recruit for short-term projects. Some short-term commitments open the door to long-term commitments. And once they catch a bit of the DAR bug, you never know what will happen. In these situations, it's really a good idea to have an energetic, effective leader plan the short-term project so they can inspire the prospective to do more in the future. Number 4, don't assume no means never. If a prospective member says she's too busy in her life right now, maybe she will be more available or open to events in 6 to 12 months. Keep them in the prospective member database, PMD, and the on-hold status for that time, and invite them to an event that is of their interest. Number 5, don't recruit any old BIC. BIC stands for bottom in chair, and sometimes an empty chair is better than a chair filled with the wrong bottom. However, if your chapter isn't right for this perspective, don't let her go. There may be another chapter that would fit her like a glove. Pass her on to the state membership chair to find a prospective chapter. Another variation of DIC is to just say, please come and be a part of our chapter. We have a great time. There is nothing appealing about that. Use the recruitment process and let them know what you do. Use examples, whether it be online, in person, or through any other communication. Number 6, please do not treat professionals like lackeys. We have some amazingly talented prospective members out there. If a professional is interested in joining and has a passion in her professional position, don't give her busy work. Make use of her talents and give her some slack to do what she does best. A professional does not want to be treated as an intern, and that's a very important consideration with dealing with juniors or seniors. Many of them are confident, established women who do not want to be treated like a child. And finally, do not recruit a prospective without explaining we are all volunteers. Make sure the prospective understands we are a volunteer organization run by volunteers. That is something to take pride in. But it is important to set expectations. There have been issues with prospectives having expectations of chapter members working for them in completing their application, lineage research, etc., within the prospective time frame. It is important to let them know that just like her, our members are volunteers that have families, jobs, and personal lives that sometimes take precedence over their DAR work. Make sure she understands we're all in this together and are excited to make her a member. So, what do you do now? Next step. If you don't have a recruitment team, start working on building that recruitment team right now, as soon as this presentation is over. No need to make a formal committee or team. It's a perfect short-term occasional task for the personable, energetic member that may not always be the most active. Go through your PMD and figure out what each of your prospectives want. What are their interests? And what would they like to get out of their membership? You don't know? Have a prospective event and find out, or just ask them. Finally, get out there and recruit, recruit, recruit. It won't just get you new members, but also engaged members who will enjoy long memberships in DAR. Good luck, and we're rooting for you.